Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Matthew Street channel. I am your host, Matthew Street, and ask and ye shall receive. Yes, at least we try here at the Matthew Street channel. Once in a while, a viewer will make a request and ask me, Matt, can you do something? Can you review something? Can you try this or try that? And I do try, folks. If I have the time, if I have an interest in it, if I find it to be something I'm excited about, I will try to do things like that on occasion. Well, one of my YouTube viewers and friends here, called Rich Wink 55 is his handle, he said to me, Matt, would you consider trying to rank the Beatles album covers? Favorite to least favorite, whatever. And at first I was like, I don't know. It's kind of been done before, hasn't it, by a million different people? But then I thought about it a little bit. I said, not as much as people who rank Beatles albums, their favorite Beatles. Ranking the albums has been done a gazillion times. I mean, it's overdone. Everyone and their brother has ranked the Beatles albums. I mean, I think I did it like 7 years ago when I first joined YouTube or something. But ranking the album covers of the 13, official UK Beatles albums, I don't think it's been done that often. Maybe it has, but, I don't see as many videos ranking the covers as much as I do the albums. So I put this together for my viewer, Rich. And again, I'll give a little explanation for each one. I'll have some honorable mentions. And I will have my ultimate personal favorite Beatles album. Okay, so you'll get to see some different things here. All right, so maybe we should start out with the honorable mentions, because since many of these albums aren't in the official UK canon, or the way the Beatles wanted their 13 albums, these are just some of my favorite album covers by the Beatles that I just happen to grab that have always been very striking to me. They're covers I've always enjoyed. They're covers I wouldn't mind wearing on a t-shirt or something, because they're just great covers, okay? And the first one is the American US Something New. This is a fabulous cover. Now, the contents are a little weak. I mean, it's only like 20 minutes long. They took songs. It's repetitive from what came out on A Hard Day's Night. But Capitol did put together a heck of a cover here, folks. And I'm not taking everything out of the packaging, but this is a heck of a cover with that great image of the Beatles in full living color on Ed Sullivan, with the black background, the striking white and orange letters, which kind of match the background, and Ringo's drum riser with the white letter. It's just a great, striking cover. I've always loved the Something New cover. Honorable mention number one. Honorable mention number two, again, I didn't take it out of the packaging, my little protective sleeve here, but I've always felt this is the better Hard Day's Night cover between the British one and this one. This is my favorite. This is a soundtrack. This is a striking cover. I even have a lunchbox of it back there. I love the red with the white and black lettering. I like the black and white half-head images of the Beatles peeking upward. I mean, it's just a fabulous, fabulous cover, folks. You can't beat that cover. It's unbelievable. Looks like a soundtrack cover should be, unlike the British Hard Day's Night one. Okay. Again, better than the UK one. I've always loved the Help US soundtrack cover. I know the contents are different and Hard Day's Night and Help than with the British are full Beatles songs. These aren't. These have soundtrack music. But I've just loved this cover much better than the UK version. It looks more like a soundtrack cover. It's striking. The lettering on Help just shoots out at you. Just very, very well done, in my opinion. Honorable mention. All right, just a couple of two or three left. My next honorable mention is the Beatles and Frank Ifield, the Portrait Edition cover. That is a hell of a cover. Probably one of the best VJ covers ever, in my opinion. I love that artistic rendition of the Beatles. I've just always felt this is a great cover. Honorable mention. Always loved this one. It had the vinyl. This is one of the first imports I ever got back in the day on vinyl. Here's the CD. The Beatles Beat. I've always loved this cover. I always felt it was well done on Odeon. And again, honorable mention, but that is a heck of a cover for the Beatles, folks. And last but not least, my favorite honorable mention, not a favorite album by a lot of people. They didn't like this compilation that much. But I liked it. I thought it was good. And I really loved the way the cover was done with the faux leather look and the gold embossed imagery. I've always loved the Beatles Love Songs cover. I've just felt it's a fantastic rendition, very striking, very eye-catching, and I've always liked it. So that's an honorable mention for me. Okay. And my last, oh no, I'm going to save that one. I'm going to save the ultimate fave, my personal ultimate favorite Beatles cover, and why for last. But let's rank the Beatles covers right now. All right, coming in at number 13, again, I have to take out the artistic content and the musical content of these albums. I'm just ranking them by the cover. What does the cover say? What does it show? What is it speaking to me about? And I'm sorry, this is number 13, okay, the White Album. You can say all you want. Well, Matt, it's so artistic. You know, after the bombasticness of Sgt. Pepper and you could say Magical Mystery Tour as well, you know, to come out with this, that was just so, what a statement from the Beatles. I'm not getting into statements or artistic intent and all that. I'm just telling you, as a cover, okay, this is number 13, all right? Not putting it down. I'm just saying it's number 13. Number 12, it just has never done anything for me, and I've already told you I like the U.S. version better. Help. The Help album cover is a bore fest, in my opinion. I love the color renditions of the Beatles rather than black and white on the U.S. soundtrack Help album. I love that they're in color here. I love that they, what is that called? Semiphone? Or what do you call that? The symbols they're supposed to be making. I forget what you call it. Sorry. But they're supposed to be spelling out help in symbolic nature there. I forget what you call it. You can help me. But the cover itself, other than that, yeah, it's very unique what the Beatles are doing. I like the color images of the Beatles, but I've never really thought much of the Help album cover. So that's number 12. Number 11 is a cover that the image itself, I feel, was used better on a compilation 10 years later. The image here, it's a nice image, but as a standalone, and they added too much lettering and words on the front of it, it kind of takes away from it. So number 11 for me is the Please Please Me album cover. Image was used to great effectiveness 10 years later on 62 to 66, along with 67 to 70, the other version of this picture, or later Beatles. But here, on its own, the bright yellow color, wording of the Beatles just doesn't stand out good. It kind of blends in there up top. And then down here, this red and blue additional lettering. I get it. That was the style of albums back in the day. But I just think this cover could have been done a little more artistically and it could have been a little better with the lettering, the font, and everything. I don't know. So anyway, I just have to rank it somewhere. It doesn't mean I don't like it. I mean, it's nice to have, and of course, I love the music, but number 11, Please Please Me. All right, number 10, very colorful, very bright. I like it. Nothing against it. It's a great kind of kids-looking cover, but I had to put it somewhere, so it's okay. And that's Yellow Submarine. Comes in at number 10, Beatles album cover. Again, very nice. There's all the characters from the film, very colorful, has the Yellow Submarine. It's all right, but it's number 10. All right, number 9, I like the U.S. version better of this. And this is nice, but there's really nothing too striking about it other than the multiple pictures of the Beatles. You get a variety of their images, but A Hard Day's Night comes in at number 9 because this could have been done a little better, in my opinion. It just, when you look at the way they did the U.S. one with the striking red and the big bold letters, and, they could have done something like that here. This is just a little too, I don't know, a little too plainish for me, for the excitement of the film and everything. I do love the multiple images of the Beatles. I know it looks like it's meant to look like film, and it's a film, but, if you're going to go with that angle of film, then go all the way and make it look like a really cool album cover, soundtrack cover, whatever. But I know it's not a soundtrack, but you know what I'm saying. I think the red U.S. image on United Artists is a much better image than this. So this is going at number 9. All right, number 8, Great artistic rendering by the artist here. I mean, they did a great job putting this together, making a collage and all that. So I don't take away from Klaus Vormann at all for doing this. However, it's just not one of my favorite Beatles album covers. Revolver comes in at number 8. It's great. It's nice. Klaus did a great job, but there's some weaknesses. The way Paul's face runs into an additional spacing of white, and Ringo's in Ringo runs into the white a little bit as well, but especially Paul's face. The background color could have been like a darker gray or something. I don't know. It is what it is. I know it's considered a classic, but for me, it's number 8 on the album cover ranking. But this is one of my top 2 or 3 favorite Beatles albums of all time, Okay, now we're getting down to the number 7. And I don't know, I've just always liked this album cover, so I'm going to give it number 7. I love the striking look of the black background. The subtleness of you don't see the word Beatles on the cover itself. And then the 4 separate images of the Beatles themselves, very striking, and they pop. So I'm going to go with number 7, Let It Be, my number 7 favorite album cover. It's just, I've always liked this cover. I think it just says it all. Let it be, And it just was well done. Like I said, with the black, the popping images of the Beatles themselves. It's a shame Paul, I think, should have had a whiter background, that it really would have looked very, cool in my opinion. It's still cool, but I mean, to have Paul's background with the red at the time the photo was taken at, I'm assuming at the, not Savile Row, the other place there, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like if the background was white, like the other 3 Beatles, it really would have been uniform and striking. But as it is, it's still very good. All right. So number 7. Number 6, I've just always loved this cover, so it makes number 6 my all-time favorite Beatles album covers, because it's just well done. Well done. I like it better than the British EP version. And that's this. Magical Mystery Tour, the full album version. I think that's a heck of an album cover. It's just very colorful, very bright, striking, stands out. I love it. Number 6, Magical Mystery Tour. Number 5, we're in the top 5 now. And this image, some people, they rank this album low on their album rankings, but as a cover, I think this is a heck of a cover. And for the time period it came out, with the colorful green and reddish orange image on the bottom of the picture, and just the image of the Beatles and the way they're dressed, it really screams autumn and winter. And that's Beatles for Sale, when this album came out in late '64. And that image of the Beatles, they look tired after that U.S. tour, the world tour, really. But I just have always loved this cover. Wow, what an image. Number 5, Beatles for Sale. Number 4, Robert Freeman. He hit it out with this one, With the Beatles. Very striking image. Not so much like, I wish the font had been a little bigger, With the Beatles, maybe a little bigger across the top there. It's a little kind of smallish for me, but the image itself and the general idea of this cover, I think, is spot on. It's great. Love that image. It's a classic, and so it makes number 4. All right, number 3 is so iconic. It's the silhouette of it is used on products, and you know what it is right away when you just see the silhouette of this. It had to make this, folks. It had to be number 3 in the top 3. Number 3 is Abbey Road. And that crosswalk image, so perfectly timed. They took 5 or 6 pictures that day, and this one just came out perfect. I think this was the 4th one or whatever it was that day. But look at the perfection of the steps, and they're all in sync, and they're all balanced, and it just looks perfect. The blue, colorful sky in the back, the greenery of the trees and shrubs. The crosswalk is so striking with the Beatles. I mean, it's almost like a near perfect image, folks. Near perfect. And it had to make the top 3. Iconic. Number 2 is just, I was going to put this number 1, but then the number 1, I just said, it just was so well done and so perfect for its time that I had to put it back to number 1. But this was going to be my number 1 kind of for me personally, on the 13 Beatles albums, I probably personally, this is my favorite, but I switched it up a little bit. So number 2 is Rubber Soul. But in my heart, it's number 1. I've just always loved this image. This is my favorite image on a Beatles album cover. The Beatles with that slightly distorted look, with the Rubber Soul font slightly distorted. No Beatles written on the front, just Rubber Soul, and you know who it is. Iconic photo, iconic cover. My favorite, personally, number 2. But I'm sorry, I had to go with this for number 1 because you can't deny it, folks. It was so well done for its time, for a moment in time, what it captured culturally and socially and musically at the time. It captured it all. This has to be the number 1 Beatles album cover, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. It is absolutely stunning, absolutely perfect for its time, so well planned, so well executed, so well done and carried forth. A lot of work was put into this, probably more than any other Beatles album cover, and it paid off. Number 1, Sgt. Pepper. And last but not least, my ultimate, though, personal favorite Beatles album cover because of what it means to me personally in my heart, soul, and mind. And that's this one right here. Oh, sorry, mistake. Not that one. 1964, my young 30-something-year-old parents had a vision for their young child, and they went with it. Against all convention of older people in their 30s loving or liking the Beatles, my parents bought me this album. This, Meet the Beatles, with the blue tint and all, and the font, and the Meet the Beatles. This is my all-time personal, ultimate favorite Beatles album cover, and always will be, because of what it means to me and what my parents mean to me and how much I love them and I love the Beatles. And this was the first. This was the one. Thank you, Mom and Dad. And thank all of you. And I've run kind of long here, but who cares, right? Sue me. Thanks to Rich, Wink55, for this suggestion. I hope you enjoy this video. Let me know your favorites. What are your favorite Beatle album covers? Love you. Bye-bye.